Hey there, it is Anna Runyan, founder and CEO of ClassyCareerGirl.com. Hey, if you are joining, please say hello in the comments. Please let me know where you're from, and please let me know you can hear me because I always like to know that things are working and I'm not the only one here. So just say hello. As you guys are starting to come and join us, I am going to start us talking about our topic for this day. So there's been some changes. Been some things going on in the economy. You can look at the news, you can find out all the things that are going on. I am not here to scare you or spread fear or anything like that. You guys know our brand, we're all about the positivity here. So you can look at the news, you can see all the things that are going on with the economy, with our world. You know, we have the coronavirus, we have the stock markets going up and down, up and down. And I wanted to jump on here because as I've been watching this stuff, I am having so many flashbacks to 2008, 2009, and I have so many stories to share that I want to provide to you guys because of stories of that time for me and how it affected my career, and some of the things I'm glad I did, and some of the things I wish I would have known. And my brand has always been about sharing what I wish I would have known with you, so you guys don't make the same mistakes. That was the very beginning when I first started my blog. We're going on 10 years now this month. When I first started my blog, that was my goal, to share all of the mistakes that I made so you don't have to make those mistakes. And then to tell you what I wish I would have known too. Looks like, hi Jan, hi Ilsa. Okay, John's here. Okay, so it looks like we are working. Okay, so that's always been my mission, is to give back, is to teach you guys, you know, what I wish I would have known. And this is a big deal. Like, there's a lot of things that I wish I would have known when the economy was changing a lot in 2008 that I think are going to apply over this next year or two as well. So I want to give you kind of a little flashback of where I was in 2006. So this was before the stock market crash of around 2008. So things were going really well. I was working for a consulting company called Booz Allen Hamilton, big consulting firm. You know, it was kind of like the dream career. It was this fancy consulting company. I was going on trips. Like I was traveling a lot with my company. This was before kids. And, you know, I had all my expenses taken care of. I was wined and dined. You know, there were raises that would happen because the economy was really doing well. And my company was really doing well. Not my company, but the company I worked for, Booz Allen, was doing really, really well. And I loved my career. Everyone else I worked with loved their career. It was kind of like the happy days of work. We had Christmas parties. My first Christmas party was at the Hotel del Coronado here in San Diego. And it was incredible. It was like the highlight of a Christmas party. It was awesome. And, you know, was getting raises, was getting, you know, perks and like special gifts. And it was a fun job. It was really going well. And then a few years later, there was, obviously there was the stock market crash. There was, you know, there was just real estate prices went down. My company got bought out. And all of a sudden around 2010, there was like this time where things really, really changed. There were people that lost their jobs in my company. And I will never forget, this is a very pivotal time in my journey as an employee. There was one of my former boss. She was a woman. There weren't many women in my field because I worked for the government. And so it was very male dominated. My consulting company worked for the government, so I had government clients, very male dominated, because I worked for some of the members of the military. And I'll never forget, her name was Sandra, and I looked up to her. She was awesome. Like she worked so hard, and I was like, she just had twins and she came back to work, and I was like, that's who I want to be in this company. She's a mom and she's like doing really well. And then I heard that Sandra got fired. And it changed everything for me, because I was like, here's a new mom with my company who I want to be like someday. And then she just had twins. And then all of a sudden, a couple months later, she got fired. Now, I hope she didn't get fired because she had twins. That would be terrible. But I do know that our company started cutting costs. And all of a sudden, we had a meeting where we didn't know if we were going to have jobs in 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, money was really, really tight at work. And everyone just kind of started being miserable. There were no more trips. There were no more raises. There were no more Christmas parties. And there was no more opportunity for growth. And we worked for the government too. So we were dealing with a lot of potential government shutdowns. We didn't know if we were going to get paid. And it was like night and day from 2006 to 2010, same companies, same clients, same everything, but my company completely changed and my job became not very secure. And I say that because, we don't know what's going to happen in the next few years. And so I want to come on here and tell you what I wish I would have known in 2006, like when things were going great, and hopefully to prepare you as well. Because for me, back in 2006, there was a lot of spending. There was a lot of trying to keep up with the Joneses and buying houses and buying cars and, maybe not making the best decisions because I didn't know what was coming. And so for me, this is kind of like helping you know what could potentially be coming. I remember, I'm not sure where you were in 2008 too. So I do this as kind of like a way of like sharing my story, how economic changes affected my career, and not just negatively. Like hearing that story, you might think that my career was affected negatively, but really it inspired me to make a career change because of those changes and what was happening in my company. It pushed me to make a career change, and it pushed me to manage my money better. And it pushed me to do a career that I would enjoy more. It pushed me towards more my calling, more my purpose. And most importantly, it really pushed me to prepare for my career in the future, like looking to the vision, like this kind of is not where I want to be. But if things were all great at my company, who knows, I might have stayed there and I never would have realized like my dream career, and I never would have done my calling and my purpose if everything just stayed all perfect and wonderful at my career. So, we're going to talk a little bit about how you can prepare. I have 4 things that you can do to prepare your career, whether you are an employee or whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you have a side hustle, whether you're job searching, wherever you are in your career, these are going to help you prepare for your future. And for me too, back in when these changes were happening, this was before kids too. Like this was, I wanted to prepare for my career and my life as a mom someday. My dream was to be a happy working mama. And so for me, these changes and these things I'm going to tell you are going to help you prepare for your vision as well. And a lot of them have to do with money. So this is something I blogged a lot about years ago. I blogged a lot about getting out of debt, my journey with money, because I truly believe that money and your career go hand in hand. So that means, if you have a ton of loans and a ton of bills, say you have school loans, you have car loans, maybe you have a mortgage, it's going to be really hard to make career choices that make you happy because you're drowning in these expenses and this debt. And when you get out of debt, like I did, then you can make choices about your career that are really going to make you happy. And so my journey here involves getting out of debt. And when we did, then I was able to make career choices that made me happy. So at one point, I was able to go part-time in that consulting job that was just stressing me out, and it was like making me miserable. I was able to go part-time there, and then I was able to start working as a professor at a university. So like that was, but I got paid less, way less, way, way, way less. But I was able to do that because I wasn't drowning in debt. I didn't have all these bills. So I started to be able to make career choices that made me happy based off money, because I started to prepare for my future and the career vision that I had for myself. And eventually then I was able to quit altogether because I had a savings. I was planning and preparing for that career change. So I had a savings when my first daughter was born in 2014. I was able to quit that day job after maternity leave. At 6 weeks maternity leave, I called HR and said, I'm not coming back, because we had taken care of we had prepared financially for that. There's things that I was able to do, like volunteering of my time. I volunteered at a nonprofit back in, I think it was about 2012, just to get experience on my resume, and I didn't get paid for it. And so I was able to do that because I had prepared financially to give that time to, just to get experience on my resume and to be able to start building up that resume. So that's why I really do believe that, you got to figure out your money, and then your career is going to come together too. They really go hand in hand, because when you aren't worried about money, you can do things that you're happy about. You can do, I believe that there's work that you are created to do. I believe you have a calling and you have a purpose. You have an ideal career path. And that's why we have to go through these steps to kind of prepare for that. It doesn't happen overnight. A lot of people think that they can like buy a course and they're going to figure out, they're going to launch their dream business and they're going to, be able to figure this out in 5 weeks. And the truth is that this is a journey, right? To your calling, to your purpose. I'm still living this journey myself too, but you can't figure it out when you're worried about money, and when you're worried about student loans, and you're worried about all your bills. You just got to take the job, right? You could take any job that you can get so that you can start paying off that debt. So let's get into the 4 things that you can do today, right now, to start preparing yourself for your future career, and during any sort of economic changes that might come over these next couple of years. Also, if you could join us late, make sure you say hello in the comments. Make sure you say where you're from in the comments, so that I can know where you're from and I can meet you guys. We have a lot of you guys listening in. Okay, so here are the 4 things that you can do to prepare your career. The first thing, don't keep up with the Joneses. Put your dream first. So this is all about, like, you don't need all of the fancy cars and house and work outfits or perfect blowouts or things that you are trying to do to keep up with other people. And I know that I say that because I remember going to, my corporate job every day, and they all had these nice suits. And so I always felt like I needed to buy a new suit, and suits are expensive. And I spent so much money like trying to on office wear, on what I was dressed like. And then even in the beginning too, like I remember, my friends had, were buying houses. So we had to buy a condo too, which was a terrible decision. We were doing things because other people we were around were doing things. So we felt like we needed to do those things too, even though it really wasn't the right path for us. Same with cars, like, oh, buy a new car. Okay. Like we just got to keep up. And so if there's anything, you learn today, it's like, really take your time buying decisions. You don't have to buy things to keep up with other people. You don't want to make a decision that's going to be a mistake later on. just because other people are buying houses, or just because other people are buying cars, or, all the things that you might feel like you need to do to keep up with other people out there. Because when you are on this path of launching your dream career or your dream business, we got to save our money. We like so much money in my early days of having Classy Career Girl was reinvested back into my business. And so if you can think of it that way, or even reinvested back into yourself, if you can save any of that money to be able to reinvest into your education, into your growth, into your time, or, into your career or your business, that's going to pay you back so much more than trying to keep up with other people. And it's really all about like knowing yourself first and knowing what makes you happy and what makes you fulfilled. And that's what our brand is all about. Classy Career Girl is all about, is career fulfillment. And so just knowing that we're on this journey to happiness and fulfillment, and it might not be the same as everyone else out there. Like, you really have to discover like what is going to make you happy when it comes to what you're buying. So that's the first thing. Don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses or keeping up with everyone else's financial situations, because if the economy does change, you don't want to have a really expensive loan, or you don't want to be living somewhere and then maybe the price of real estate just goes down, or, because you just want to make sure that you are making the right decisions for yourself and you're not in debt. Like, you're not making decisions that are going to lead to more debt in the future, or mistakes in the future, just because other people are making those decisions. The second thing, take care of the money that you have right now. So this all goes back to, we're always trying to get more money and make more sales and have more success, right? Like, it kind of feels like we're always in search for more. We can always grow more. Our business can always grow more. We can always get more raises. We're always trying to find more. And so I really want you to evaluate what you have right now. And that, so this could be all the savings, all your retirement, whatever assets that you have right now. Take care of what you have right now, because before we can start to add more, we got to take care of what we have. So this could be as simple as creating a budget. Like, are you living on a budget right now? Do you know how much is coming in and how much is going out? Are you saving? Are you saving right now? These are all things I wish I knew back in 2006. And these are all things that I did along my journey that allowed me to create the career and the business that I love today, is because I started to really track and I started to really take care of the money that I have. Also decreased my expenses a lot too. So looking at what's coming in, are you taking care of the money that's coming in? Like, if you want a raise or if you want more sales in your business, you got to take care of what you have. So look at that. The third thing is practice conscious spending. And this comes from a book called Your Money or Your Life. And I have two book suggestions for you guys today. One is that, Your Money or Your Life by Vicki. And this is like, what I loved about this book was she talked about how, do all the expenses that you are spending right now, do they match your values and your purpose? Like, do they fulfill you? Or are you spending money that you're not like, that don't really match up with who you are and what your values are? And so she said to make a long list of all of the expenses that are associated with your job as well. Like your commute, your lunches, your vacations you might need to de-stress, anything that it's costing you associated with your career. Because sometimes you get paid, maybe per hour, but you don't actually realize how much you're spending on that job. And you might actually not be getting paid as much as you think you are when it comes to all the expenses that are associated with that. She also talks about how you have how your work is like a matter of the energy that you're putting into it. And we all have limited hours of life energy left, and we need to spend it matching that up with what makes us happy and our fulfillment and our calling and our purpose. And so it's just a very different way of looking at money, which I've never really looked at money before, but it really matches up with the fulfillment that we teach here and the career fulfillment, and making sure that what we're spending matches up with where we want to go in the future as well. Like for instance, my example, when I quit my day job, there's no way I could have done that without 6 months of savings. Like there's just no way. And so I had to spend many years consciously spending my money and saving so that I could make my dream career, my dream business happen. And so it all starts with being very conscious with what you're spending. And then the fourth way to prepare for any changes that might happen in the economy, and this might sound like fear-based, teaching, but it's really not. It's just a really good thing to think about is if you just act right now as if your job might potentially go away. It's kind of like the story I told you where everything was going great at my job, and then people started to lose their jobs. My boss Sandra with twins, all of a sudden she lost her job. We just don't know what the future is going to bring, right? Like we just don't know. And so if you are relying on your company to pay your paycheck, think about it a little bit. Like what if you absolutely had to, what could you do right now to make $100? Like on your own? What are some skills and experiences that you have? Like how could you build up your resume or your expertise so that you could potentially have some sort of side hustle income, some sort of way of earning that revenue, bringing in money? Not only can it like help you build up your savings, like if you have a paycheck already from your job and then you're getting a side hustle income as well, like you can take all that money and throw it towards savings, like to have, or throw it towards debt or whatever you need to do. But I always like to challenge people. Like if they had to make $100 tomorrow, like what would you do? How is there anything that you could do? Because it's just always good to be prepared. Like that is the thing, to prepare yourself. Like maybe there's an opportunity that you can explore in the evenings or on the weekends. For me, 10 years ago, it was just starting a little blog and not really knowing what it was going to turn into, that it would turn into opportunities and new jobs. And eventually it turned into my own business, but I didn't know that when I started. It was just me exploring and me building up my experiences and my skills. And there was a good few years when I was job searching and I was writing this blog, and I would put that on my resume. Like I basically created a section of my resume for Classy Career Go, because I was getting all this experience with blogging and marketing and learning about the career field. I was getting all that experience that I wasn't getting at my day job, and so I was creating more for my personal brand. I was adding to my resume, but personally on my own, so that when I did need to make an extra $100 on my own, I had that ability to be able to generate extra income. So, and that's also, side note, why I love being my own boss too, because I truly believe that being your own boss is the most secure career there is out there, based off my experience. Because you can be in charge of your raise, and you can be in charge of what's happening and growing your income yourself, instead of waiting for someone else to grow your income, or potentially you don't have a job and that wasn't expected. And so that's the most important thing, is just to prepare. We don't know what's going to happen, and so these are some ways that you can prepare. Number one, don't worry about keeping up with other people, keeping up with the Joneses. Number two, really taking care of the money that you have. That could be cutting expenses, that could be creating a budget, living by a budget, and the income coming in. How are you saving that? How are you saving a portion of it? Number three, practice conscious spending. Like, does what you're spending, look at all the expenses that you have. I know I use mint.com to track our personal expenses, not For business, we use QuickBooks to manage our business expenses, but our personal expenses, we use mint.com. It's a free app, and you can link all of your bank accounts, and then you can track like where you're spending all your money. And so for me, you could look in there and you could go to your bank account and see where you're spending your money, and if it matches what your values are, and how that makes you feel. Like, does what you're spending what you're spending make you happy? You know, I look at our rent. We live in San Diego, so we do not have the cheapest rent because we pay sunshine tax, and it's completely worth it. It's a gorgeous day here. And I look at that, and it's a big expense, but it makes me happy to spend that because I grew up in Minnesota. And so for me, like, I'm happy to pay the sunshine tax. Like, it makes me happy to live here. I love our community. I love where my daughter goes to school. And so there's not like a negative feeling when that payment goes out the door. It's a positive payment. I live in San Diego. I love my daughter's school. Like, I love this community. I love where I live. And so looking through all those expenses, like, what are those expenses that you're like, that does not bring me happiness? Like, we got to cut those expenses. And then number 4, acting as if your job might go away, and just really evaluating, like, if you had to, how could you bring in some extra income? Like, what are your strengths? What are your skills? What do people ask you about all the time that you could start to explore? Maybe working for free a little bit, volunteering somewhere, starting to explore to get some experience, so that if you needed to, or if you wanted to start any sort of side hustle, or building up more of your savings, or making a bigger income, pay more off of your debt, or increase your savings, you have that potential there. Everyone has the potential to turn what they love to do, to turn their passion into income. And so that's our mission here, is to help you figure out what that is. So I mentioned the 2 books I recommended. The first one was Your Money or Your Life by Vicki. But most importantly, if you haven't read The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey, that's the best place to start if you're struggling with your expenses, if you're struggling with feeling like you have a ton of student loans after school, or if you're just really trying to figure out like how to pay your bills and how to make your dreams happen. That was the book that helped us get out of debt years and years and years ago. So all that to say, I mentioned it before, we are approaching Classy Career Girl's 10-year anniversary. I wrote my first blog post on March 24th, 2010. So we are going to have a party on March 24th, 2020, 10 years to the date, to celebrate. And we're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff. We're going to be unveiling our membership site class for the very first time. You're going to learn how to get your career unstuck and never dread Monday again. And so this is going to be on March 24th. You want to mark your calendar, and you want to make sure you add your name to the wait list for when we have our party and when we reopen our class membership site. So, because that's really where you're going to learn how to, the guide for, really how to find that career business that you are meant for with our all new class experience and community. Classy Career Girl, and then we have Class by Classy Career Girl. And so we're going to show you how to get your career unstuck in 3 simple ways. You can go to classycareergirl.com/join to add your name to the waitlist, and you'll be notified with all the special events that we're going to have going on March 24th. And it's going to be a ton of fun. So super excited to let you guys know where we're going in the future, how we're going to be helping you prepare for your dream career or business, and how you can really apply all of this in your career. So thank you guys. Hi, Gina. Gina is here from Hungary, Budapest. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. So good to see Ilsa. I think you are always here, Ilsa. I love seeing you here. Thank you everyone for joining us. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Just leave a comment, or you can always send me a direct message, and we'll see you guys later, okay? Have a good day, everyone.